biological father reportedly kidnaps his own daughter, then took her life while at the same time trying to end his own.
The police chase only lasted a few minutes, and when it ended, police say they found a 6-year-old girl shot dead inside the car. State investigators crowd a country road in Anson County, where deputies say a man crashed while trying to get away from police. The man is accused of abducting his daughter, and after the wreck, police say he shot her.
There's nothing that you can ever determine the outcome of what's going to happen. And when you're dealing with a domestic situation, you always have high emotions.
It's just really sad. I don't understand how someone could fathom killing a kid.
Some stories are difficult to tell, not because they're unknown, but because of how close to home they truly are. This is the story of 6-year-old little girl, a little girl that deserves to be remembered, not for what happened, but for who she was. A life that, from the outside, seems surrounded by the very thing meant to protect us all, family. A father is supposed to protect his children, to be a source of safety, guidance, and love, not the origin of fear, harm, or tragedy. And yet, sometimes the roles we trust the most become the ones we question the least. But sometimes, the places we trust the most can hold the deepest secrets. Behind closed doors, beyond what anyone could see, a series of moments began to unfold. Quiet, unnoticed, and ultimately life-altering. This isn't just a story about a single event. It's about the hidden layers beneath everyday life, the questions we don't think to ask, the signs we may not always see until it's too late. In the early hours of March 24th, at approximately 3 a.m, a panicked mother made a desperate call to 911, reporting that her young daughter and her truck had been taken from her home in Polton by the child's father. Law enforcement quickly sprang into action, launching an urgent search for the missing vehicle and child. Around 8 that morning, deputies with the Anson County Sheriff's Office spotted the stolen vehicle and attempted to stop it. However, the driver refused to comply, leading authorities on a high-speed chase through the area. The pursuit came to a sudden and violent end just minutes later when the SUV veered off the road and crashed near the intersection of Little Creek Road and Old Winfield Road in Wadesboro. As officers approached the wreckage, what they discovered inside the vehicle was far more horrifying than they could have imagined. A gruesome scene that would leave a lasting impact on all who witnessed it.
The SBI says this whole tragedy happened here in a remote part of Anson County when the car lost control and crashed into this ditch in front of a home. As for the police chase itself, Polkton police say all officers involved across the agencies did whatever they could to try and get this incident to end peacefully and without anybody hurt. They also say all of the officers involved followed protocol appropriately.
In the wreckage of the vehicle, officers made a devastating discovery. 6-year-old Miana Roach was found inside, lifeless, with an apparent gunshot wound. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Beside her, critically injured from a gunshot wound of his own, was her father, Michael Roach. He was immediately airlifted to a hospital in Charlotte for emergency treatment, where he would remain in critical condition. Neighbors recalled the harrowing moments when law enforcement finally caught up to the suspect, Michael Roach, who had allegedly abducted his daughter from her home on West Street in Polkton. According to family members, Michael Roach had spoken with them just hours before the tragic wreck, reassuring them that the young girl was safe and unharmed. His words offered a small sense of relief, momentarily easing their fears. However, that reassurance would soon be shattered. In a chilling turn of events, Roach later contacted his family again, this time to confess the unthinkable. He admitted that he had harmed Miana, delivering the devastating news that would forever change their lives. The horrifying revelation came just before authorities finally caught up to him, bringing the tragic chain of events to a heartbreaking conclusion. The search for the young girl and the suspect intensified overnight, culminating hours later when an Anson County deputy stationed near a school spotted the vehicle. The driver refused to stop, igniting a high-speed chase. As the pursuit escalated, the police chief and multiple officers worked urgently to intercept the vehicle, deploying stop sticks and tire deflation devices in a desperate attempt to bring it to a halt without endangering the child inside. But Roach, speeding at 70 miles per hour, lost control of the vehicle while navigating a curve, crashing off the road. Despite the force of the collision, officers confirmed that the crash itself did not cause Miana's death. No officers fired their weapons, and there was no outside intervention. Michael Roach had fatally shot his own daughter before turning the gun on himself. Now, Chief Hutchinson, along with the Anson County Sheriff's Office and the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation, is piecing together the tragic timeline, gathering evidence and interviewing witnesses to understand the full scope of the events that unfolded. The case has also sparked public outrage, as no Amber Alert was issued following Miona's abduction. Authorities explained that, due to the absence of formal custody documentation, they were unable to meet the criteria required to issue an Amber Alert. Instead, law enforcement circulated a be on the lookout notice for Roach in his vehicle. However, many in the community believe racial bias played a role, questioning whether a missing white child would have received an immediate Amber Alert and a more urgent response. Miona's grieving family has chosen not to speak on camera, but issued a brief statement saying, "God is in control." They remain closely informed about Michael Roach's condition and expressed shock over his actions, hoping the investigation will provide some much-needed clarity in the wake of this tragedy.
So the question still on a lot of people's minds, why wasn't an Amber Alert issued?
WBTV's Ron Lee spoke with the Polkton police chief to get answers on this. So, Ron, I understand the police chief gave contradicting answers.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We did get a press release from Polkton Police Department a little earlier today about why the Amber Alert was not moved on. We did get a quote from them saying that the Amber Alert was not issued because there was no legal documentation for establishing custody. Polkton Police Chief T.W. Hutchinson says an Amber Alert was not issued because it did not meet the criteria, mainly that the suspect, Michael Roach, did not show a gun. But when pushed, the police chief gave what appeared to be contradicting answers. Polkton police say 27-year-old Michael Roach was sharing a home with his estranged girlfriend and daughter. Around 3 o'clock in the morning Monday, investigators say Roach burst into his girlfriend's room announcing he was taking the child.
Came into her room and brandished a firearm and threatened her.
But whether he flashed a weapon or not is still unclear.
Just because someone brandishes a gun, maybe in their pocket, on their person, doesn't mean they threaten anybody with it.
Chief Hutchinson also says the daughter called the family saying she was okay and not afraid, but the next call they received was very different.
She received a call from Michael Roach, who is the father, that he had actually done something to the child.
We're told officers on the street spotted Roach in the Wadesboro area and tried to pull over the car, but Roach instead led them on a high-speed chase. Police say Roach lost control around this curve and crashed the vehicle. That's when neighbors heard gunfire.
Then you heard like shot.
Officers sent up a drone to get a handle on what was happening. They said they saw Roach with head wounds.
Checked on the child. The child was not breathing, did not have any pulse.
It was later determined the 6-year-old may have died hours before as her father drove around with her. Roach was rushed to a Charlotte hospital where he remains in critical condition and facing a list of charges.
First-degree murder, fleeing to elude arrest. There's a number of charges.
Just days after the tragic and senseless murder, Michael Roach succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced dead. In the wake of this devastating loss, Miona's family created a GoFundMe to help cover the unexpected funeral expenses for a precious life taken far too soon, just days before what would have been her 7th birthday. While the exact motive behind the murder remains unclear and details surrounding the abduction are still being investigated, one heartbreaking truth stands above all. Nothing could ever justify a father, the very person meant to love and protect, taking the life of his own child. A key lesson in this tragic story is the importance of taking immediate action in child abduction cases, regardless of legal technicalities. The failure to issue an Amber Alert due to custody documentation highlights a potential flaw in the system that could delay life-saving interventions. Additionally, this case underscores the need for stronger community awareness and vigilance when it comes to domestic violence and child safety. The murder of this innocent child reminds us that even those closest to us can be capable of unimaginable harm, reinforcing the importance of recognizing warning signs and seeking help when situations seem unstable.